Here in Texas, Brian Deegan. What's up, Deegan? How are you, man?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. You're down in Texas right now?
Yeah. We're down here at the Freestone track.
Yeah. And how's it going?
It's going good. Just hanging out here. It's the weather's. It looks like it might be a little rainy this week, but other than that, it's going good.
Nice. Good to hear. Hey, you know what's funny? And we'll talk a little bit about what's going on, but I always think it's when I see this stuff on social media, like you're standing beside Tim Ferry and Nick Way, and you guys are watching your kids race. It must still seem a little weird, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it just seems weird because we're just getting older, right? And sometimes you realize, right, that you're just becoming an old man, I guess. It's and you're just, being to your kids, you're just dad, and
I know.
I don't know. I don't think we look at each other like, oh, I still want to beat you at a race, and
But you know how people like somebody will be like, hey man, remember this year? And I'll be like, yeah, that happened like 5 years ago. And then actually, Deegan, when you look at it, it was like 15 years ago, but it seems like 5 years ago, right?
Yeah. One time I won that race,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And they're like, yeah,
yeah, that was like 2 decades ago, bro. That was like before you even had kids.
Right. So you
that seemed like yesterday, dude.
Yeah, you're like, you look at Nick and you look at Red Dog and you're like, hey man, we only raced like a few years ago, but fuck, dude, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's weird. You're hanging on to it hard. Yeah, there's. And the kids don't even know we raced, right?
Right.
Like my kids' friends didn't even know we even existed in dirt bike racing. Yeah.
Dude, that's so sad, right? Oh God.
Yeah, they don't even know who McGrath is.
Right? Yeah, I know. We were talking about the other day, like Jeremy. That's 20 years ago that Jeremy, was the guy.
Yeah.
God, Deegan, it sucks.
Yeah, it goes quick.
Hey, so any worries about the virus going on down there in Texas at the amateur races? Like anything about, like, I know the Day in the Dirt down in Florida got shut down, but what's the word?
I don't know. I just feel like the vibe in Texas, people are like, oh, it's just a cold, you'll be fine. Like, that's a vibe in, like, this Texas area. But, I don't think we're so worried. Like, the track, everyone here, it's kind of a weird vibe. Like, people are kind of acting a little odd, a little quiet. But people still want to race. I think there are a lot of people in denial, probably.
Yeah.
And then the only thing I worry about is not really, we're going to catch.
Oh, we lose the general?
Panic going on.
Yeah. Oh, you're back.
There?
Yeah, you're back now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry. So the panic that's setting in at home, right? What are we going to go home to? Like no food, no groceries, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm more worried about. We're here for a week, and like that's another week. And now they closed San Francisco. Like you've heard that, right?
Yeah.
Like the city shut down.
Yeah. I saw that.
You get it. It's a misdemeanor if you leave your house. Like that's crazy. This is movie shit, like movie crap. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's real. This has never happened in the history of America, as far as I've been around. Like I'm really, honestly, starting to get worried, to be honest. Like, I started thinking, what am I doing here for a week? Like, am I going to be a week behind a full shutdown? Like, am I going to be able to get back in California?
Yeah,
because they're starting to shut. I get it's coming. Like, they shut down those cities. It's, Italy shut down already, right?
Yeah.
And I've called my contacts. I have the contacts in the government and this, that, and they all said we're about 11 days behind Italy.
Yeah. Well, good to know. You're a general after all, Deegan, so it's not a problem for you.
Yeah. I had to call into my my contacts there. Yeah.
No, it's insane, and like I just wonder about a bunch of people sitting in Texas and racing. But on the other hand, Brian, I went riding yesterday at a local track here in Vegas, and it was packed. Tons of people riding their dirt bikes.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay. Everyone's out having fun riding dirt bikes, but they're at least close to home.
Right. Yeah, good point.
And so that's my thing is, that's the only kind of uneasy feeling I have is just being not close to home,
Right.
So, Brian, do you have anybody like at home right now that is going to these local stores and trying to stock up, or are you just going home to nothing?
No, I have family home. I have, people always stay at our house. We always have I have the grandparents and people there that are handling this stuff. But at the end of the day, yeah, I do, but not. You still have everything I need personally, and kind of everything my family needs. And, as a dad now, I have to think differently. I'm not, like, just thinking about myself. I have to think about, okay, my kids are out of school now till I don't even know when.
Yeah.
And what are we going to do? And then I thought, okay, why am I going home? My kids are just going to drive me crazy in the house. We could at least go race dirt bikes, but I'm scared if a kid falls, we got to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And then what? Like, it's kind of like craziness there right now.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Is it? I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I'm uneasy about it, and I'm, just because I've never seen this happen in the history of America.
Right. 702-586-PULP. You got a question for Brian Deegan, give us a call. Supercross winner, general of the militia, and now aspiring mini dad. Man, your son he's good, and you're stuck in this thing, Brian. So, what's the plans for the next few years? Like, when do you think he'll turn pro? I know, talking to Talon Volan, his kid went over and rode some EMX races. Is that something you want to do, or what's the plan going forward?
I agree with that theory of taking your kid over there just to show him what being tough is. And I think that's why me and Volan have had those conversations multiple times. He actually went and did it.
Yeah.
And so my son's still young. He's still small. Hasn't hit his growth spurt yet. So he's still on 80s. He just won the last week, everything last week.
I saw that.
Super Mini would, So Super Mini would be next year. I'd say 2, 3, 4 years away, probably 3 or 4 years away from the 250B A class.
Okay.
So still got a lot of time, unless he just hits a growth spurt.
Right.
And then maybe get him. I think Supercross, if everything goes right, God willing, you think maybe 17, 18 years old in Supercross.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the plan.
Some of the amateur people that I talk to, and I don't follow it that much, but some of the amateur people I talked to, Brian, said that your son is really, really good at the indoor stuff because you've had him riding it forever.
Yep. He grew up on a Supercross track, literally.
Yeah.
He's in our front yard. And he used to ride Supercross before he went to school. We'd go do a main event. At 6:37 a.m., he'd be doing a main event before he went to school.
Yeah.
And so I thought, hey, why not? I do things my way. I want to do things and see how it turns out. And so he's really comfortable in Supercross just because I want to be comfortable. Like, I don't want to be nervous when he races that, because the sport's already gnarly enough. Like,
you
want to make sure he's smooth.
You talked to guys from your era and earlier, like the first time they rode Supercross is like right before Anaheim. Like, that's when they first ever got a Supercross track, when they first turned pro. It's crazy.
Yeah. That was the era. And guys like me who were privateers, we didn't ride Supercross till practice day of the Supercross.
You're like, oh, sweet.
Really the truth.
Yeah, I know, exactly, right?
Brian, how helpful do you think that this whole Supercross Futures has played into the development of not only your son's career, but basically everybody that's been growing up racing?
I'm glad, the Supercross Futures, I'm glad something's happening, I was going to make sure my kid was good by just doing our own Supercross track, but I know not everyone can do that. And Supercross Futures is good because it's teaching kids how to get in the stadium, just get them comfortable with Supercross. And I think if that's the future, they're starting, need to groom them young, and that's what's happening. But there's still a debate on, is the track too gnarly? Is it too safe? Is it, last year it was safe. This year it's a little gnarlier. My complaint is you don't really need vet riders out there. It's supposed to be the futures. It kind of should be based around kids who can actually ride Supercross.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion on it. And I think you could shorten down the classes and get more seat time is my opinion on it. But it's a good effort. Yeah.
Brian Holiday, Team Green guy, was on here a few weeks ago and he said the same thing. He's like, what are we doing with vets on this track? Why are we doing vets? Like, outside of glory and entry fees, Felda's collecting. That's it. That's the only reason. Yeah, and still, I guess some parents are still bring their bike and want to ride with their kid and that, but that's pretty seldom, Yeah, absolutely. No, for sure. Brian Deegan on the show, brought to you by Vortex Racing. Email Jake at vortexracing.com to get a steal on a set of sprockets used by the Star Yamaha guys and Barsha and Plessinger as well. Brian, the whole amateur thing, you've been on the grind for last week you're in Texas, this week this is Freestone, or was last week Freestone? I forget. This is Freestone?
Last week was Underground MX, and this week's Freestone.
So you're on you're on the road, your family's on the road, everybody else is there. Like, is this amateur thing? Is it out of control to you, or is it right about? I know they have these 5 amateur majors that they call them and everything else, but where are you at with the whole system?
To be honest, they have. Then you go from Daytona to Underground or Oak Hill, then here. And we're going to go home and qualify at an area qualifier for Loretta's. And then we're going to go to Cal Classic. And then we got to hit some regionals. And then we got to go, to train for Loretta's. It's too much.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, how do you afford to do it?
I don't know.
Go to school anymore?
No, they don't.
That's my opinion. No, it's my opinion, dude. Like,
yeah.
I love it. I grew up in the system's always been the same. But I'm training my kid in Supercross, and really, we come here just to get him gate drops. Is this developing him for the future? Yeah, I think partly, but not as much as the Supercross Futures and things like that. I just really wish it was more one system. There's so many different promoters, so many different people trying to get the races. It just turns into just really too much for the families, I think. That's my opinion.
So what would you think, Brian, would be like the best solution for amateur racing? Would you try to like limit how many of the majors there are? Do you think like local racing needs to be bigger?
Yeah, I think regions, right?
Okay.
Like, unfortunately, most of the big nationals are Midwest or Texas, Florida, East Coast. There's a few in California, but you think that's where the most would be because most of the riders are kind of in that area. But I feel like it should be regions, right? You have your regions, and then you meet at Loretta's and you race the finals. I just think there should be a select number, what they are, and maybe there's so many points that go toward a final, a runoff,
right?
And something like that. But you kind of no one kind of has a set number. Like who's going here, who's going there. Some mean a lot, some don't. Still feels scattered to me.
Right. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. We got a phone call for you here, Brian, from Levi. Levi, what's up? What do you want to talk to Brian Deegan about?
Yeah, Brian, are you what do you think about DB coming for your son, dude?
Daniel Blair, have you heard about this, Brian?
What's going on?
Daniel Blair?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Right. So he's going to have better lap times than your son, Danger Boy, at whatever amateur Supercross we might have.
Yeah, I guess we don't know if it's going to happen or not. But.
Right. Where are you at?
Is he racing?
Yes, he wants to race on a 250F, and he predicts that he's going to have better lap times.
Hey, at the end of the day, maybe for a lap, I'd say. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like a lap. Like, I still have Hayden, beat some days for a lap, but that's about it. Like, other than that, like, if you fit 5 laps, probably not.
Okay, there we go. All right, there you go, Levi.
Yeah, he seems pretty confident. Like he's coming.
It can't be 1 lap. It's got to be a
total race time or something. Right. Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Blair on later. We'll ask him about it. Thanks, Levi.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, should be a good battle, Kellen, between those two.
You think DB still got it?
He says he's been training.
Okay.
Yeah. So
out at Lodi Supercross.
Right. How much do you ride now, Deegan? How much do you get out?
Not enough. I get to ride with my son once in a while. Usually on Tuesdays we try to hit Paula. But you can get 1 day every 2 weeks. That's pretty good.
Jeez,
I love it. I love it. Like, we just went out the other day, met up with Feist and Twitch.
I saw that photo, dude. Iconic photo of some guys. That was cool. Yeah.
And it the old dudes telling stories, and we rode for about 20 minutes and told stories the rest of the time. But it was fun. I really enjoyed that. I still really had fun riding my dirt bike with the guys. So that's good.
Yeah, that's good, right? You can never really get it totally out of your blood. Listen, you've had some good injuries. How do you feel these days? How's riding a dirt bike for you? You okay?
Yeah, I feel fine.
Yeah.
I have my days that are worse than others, and then as long as I eat healthy, don't eat a bunch of sugar and all the stuff that's pretty obvious, and no ice cream and stuff like certain things now as I get older, I have to eat good, and I feel fine. Like I said, I started with the CBD stuff, and I felt like it worked for me. Some people don't, say it doesn't work for them, but for me, I felt like it helped. And so at the end of the day, I still feel good. I still train a lot. Super active, still do jiu-jitsu, and still do a lot of things to stay active. So,
right.
I still feel fine.
Brian, I had a question about, as your children are starting to become pseudo celebrities and superstars, kind of what's the biggest piece of advice you've given them to kind of keep their feet on the ground and still keep driving forward?
I always like Haley's probably the hardest one because she's getting built up to be this superstar. And I'm like, Haley, we're not there yet, right? Hayden, you're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're still on this mission and this road, this journey. And I'm like, you're not to the end goal yet. So like, don't buy the hype, don't buy into it. At the end of the day, it's all, we market, to sell products and like everyone else. And, we try to do our best, but, like I said, they got to stay grounded. And I keep always pushing them. I don't like when the kids get cocky. I just don't. Even though we were like super cocky.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Deegan, I was around you in the late '90s. Like
yeah, like the era of cockiness for 10 years.
Right. But no, like you said, like don't do as I did, do as I say, right, or whatever that saying is.
Yeah. Well, that's nowadays we, like I said. Thankfully, there's no cell phones back in our era, so there isn't like a ton of evidence. So
yeah,
it's all good.
No, I read your posts about Haley and magazine articles and everything else, and your Instagram stuff, and you're always like, "Hey, man, it's a long road ahead of us." You know what I mean? Like, everybody like you're very good at that. You're not some dad running around, pointing out your kids and hyping them up. I like the attitude.
Yeah, you have to because everyone else is, right? Like everyone's this, that. They don't see the inside of like what happens daily at the house and the struggle to go, okay, we're going to the gym, we're eating right, we're doing this. Like it's a daily thing, and then the weekend's just the time when everyone sees, we're racing and the media and all that. But but we do our social media. We try to tell a story through our YouTube channel.
Right.
And now we did our podcast, the Deegans. And just trying to tell some stories and share what we're doing. But our whole mission is kind of just trying to tell people, well, hey, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
And if we can help you with things that we're doing, then cool. If not, hey, I've made my mistakes, and I'm going to tell you how I did it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's kind of been our mission,
Yeah. How is the podcast thing going? Good for you? I mean, you've got access to a lot of great guests,
Yeah, I would say the coolest thing is you get to call people, and they've been taking my calls because I haven't asked people to come into a studio yet because I'm not really there yet.
Uh-huh.
And so I think, take my call. I get it. It's a little fuzzy, and the audio is not great. But, people are taking my call. They're talking. I'm having good conversation with people I wouldn't normally sit and talk to for an hour or two.
Right.
And, building this community and building a tighter relationship with people. And that's what I think I'm getting out of it. I think it's becoming, a cool avenue for me mentally to unleash and just talk and get out what I have to say and listen to what people have to say. I think, and I don't get that much because I'm kind of a quiet person when it comes to being around a lot of people.
Right.
I'm kind of like, doing my own thing. And then that's my moment to kind of get, let it out and talk about things. I don't know. I think it's been good.
Good. James is on the line. He wants to talk to you. James, what's going on? What's your question for Brian Deegan?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
What's happening?
Deegan, I'm a huge fan of watching the vlog and everything. Quick question. So I'm 25 now. I've been in the sport for years, but I just started like maybe 2 or 3 years ago riding. Do you ever see guys in my, like in my age range and kind of in my skill set show up to these, big name races that have kind of, gained the skills over the time? They weren't really always in motocross all the time. Do you ever see those kind of guys line up at these races, or is it pretty much just people who, pretty much started at age 3 or 4? Because I'd love to try to do one of the big nationals, freestone or whatever is on the amateur ranks. I'm just, like not skilled enough, and I'm just wondering if you guys ever see people like that.
What do you think, Deegan?
I think, it depends what class you want to race, right? So if you come here to race the A class, those kids have been training since they're
that's
young.
a wrap. No, not happening.
Yeah. So if you want to show up and race the intermediate, probably novice class, I'd say, like that's still a fast class, right? Or you race the over 25 class. And those classes, you can line up and race those. There's everyone from, pretty quick to all the way to guys just kind of just having fun, cruising around.
Yeah.
I think, that's the best class.
James, I raced the World Vets this past year at Glen Helen, and there's 25 novice, plus 25 novice. What'd you say you were, 25? Did you say, James?
Yeah, I just started 25.
Like, dude, they're honestly, and I watch them, and they're just beginners, but they're having a blast. Like, there's a class for you. You know what I mean? Like, just get out there and ride, put some laps in, and listen to Deegan's podcast and watch Deegan's vlogs, and he'll dial you in. Like, don't be scared, man. There's classes for you, 100%.
Yeah. There's nothing cooler than lining up on a starting gate and just doing that, because that's a fear that you would conquer. It'll just make you a better man throughout your life, right? I just does. That's why my kids race, because I want them conquering these little milestones. And yeah, you can do it for sure.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's why I wanted to ask, because I'm like, all right, I've been watching 80s, and I know like people like Cian Cirillo and Tomac. Like I watched them and Cooper Webb when they were on 80s, and just didn't have the money to do it growing up. So I was like, all right, now's the time. I could afford it. So like, all right, that's why I wanted to ask.
Yeah, James,
Cool.
you're never gonna make it as a pro. Breaking news. You're done.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. I don't want that pressure.
You will never. You will never win a Supercross or a national. I hate to break this to you.
John Dowd.
Not at all.
Yeah, John Dowd started when he was 16, so James is still beyond a little bit. But hey, listen, James, I want to help you out. What do you got for a bike?
YZ 125 right now.
All right, perfect. Let's get you some Maxima oil. Can I do that?
Yeah, sure.
All right, MaximaUSA.com. Pulp20 is the code to save with those guys. Stay on the line, okay? We'll get you some free Maxima for calling in.
Okay, sure. Thanks,
All right,
Steve.
no problem. That's
nice meeting you.
There's always a class for everybody. Yeah, go ahead, jump on the bike. And I mean, Brian, do you recommend he puts silver spikes on his chest protector or not? Where are we at with that?
You might want to get through the first round, you know. Hey, dude, I showed up at Elsinore one day, and there was a dude literally with chest plate on, with knife sticking out his chest plate. Like,
stop it! No way!
He took it to another level, dude. Like he had knife blades out his chest plate.
Oh my God, that's awesome!
And his nickname was Freestyle Freddy, and it really exists.
You know what? You know what's brutal about that, O'Brien, is you're the reason he's doing that. You're the reason.
For sure. I'm the reason people did a lot of dumb crap.
Right, yeah, absolutely, right. So, well, hey, man, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate the time. Good luck this week down in Texas with Hayden, and of course, Haley's NASCAR career seems well on its way, and it's cool to talk to you, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I know you guys are busy. You have a lot of good guests, so we'll always make time. And like I said, I'm proud of what you guys are doing, and it's good for the sport. So keep it going. Awesome,
man. Well, thanks very much. I appreciate it. That's Brian Deegan. Talk to you soon, Brian.
See you guys.
All right. Brought to you by Vortex Racing. Email Jake at vortexracing.com. I knew Deegan in '97. Triple X. I hung out with him a lot.
He wasn't as focused as his kids.
No,
assume, right?
No, he's not. No, he's not. He was not. But he was a shit disturber too. Like he would think the funniest stuff is like he would laugh. He got this funny laugh. Hey, you can hear his laugh, and I would always laugh at him because he would just play pranks and tricks all day long and just fuck with people. That was his only goal. Like whether it was the AMA